Yo, dudes! Welcome back to another dope episode of Racist Idiot. If one of your tires costs more than all of your cheap-ass living room furniture combined, you're probably a racist. Join in with me on all the racist shenanigans that we can. And I'm going to tell you, this was at the beginning of October, and I didn't know that I was making the perfect Halloween episode as I was heading to the Test and Tune of Doom at C5 Circuit. Let's go ahead and touch base with October 2025, Curtis, to see what this idiot has to say about the matter. What a moron.
Who is this racist idiot?
Right now, we are heading out to the sunny C5 Circuit for the test and tune for my second attempt at Super Lab here. Learned a lot on the first go, hoping to learn a lot more. Got the car pretty well dialed in, had to replace a bunch of sway bar links, had to make an air dam out of a random bumper of a Ford. Got some brand new Lexani all-season tires on there, the cheapest stuff that I could absolutely buy. And I gotta say, man, I love me some cheap-ass tires. It's not just because I'm an idiot and I'm broke. I mean, those are factors, don't get me wrong. But what really does it for me on those ones is the fact that, you know, I can come out here and shred these things and only be out like $250 worth of tire. And it's not like I'm going to be able to afford, instead of Goodyear Eagle F1s that the car came with, at double the price per tire, spend 4 times as much to come out of trash and even faster. So really glad that those exist out there, but really excited to come out here for the C5 Circuit. I'm really excited about doing the test and tune. So the only time I've ever been out here was on my first time trial, Super Lab. And kind of one of the things there is Eric really wanted us to push our limits and really get out there and be aggressive and stuff like that. I ran off track, which was fine. It was actually pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie. But I really would like to focus on the slow and smooth and smooth as fast aspect of things, because I'm not learning the racing line as well as I would like to. And that's the most important thing when you get out there, is actually following the line. I've been spending most of my spirited driving career on mountain roads and stuff like that, where you're limited to one lane. You're not taking up the entire road and doing what you can. And you also are not on a circuit where it's the same road every time. You're constantly adapting and improvising to an unknown road. You know, I got my Apple Maps on there, you know, I got a little bit, it's kind of like a good little co-pilot for me, but it's not going to tell me everything about the road, especially things like elevation changes, road conditions, and things like that. So we're going to learn a lot today, and then we're going to be right back out here tomorrow doing it even more. So the Racist Idiot is going live now. Another episode of the Idiot's Guide to Racism, time trial test and tune edition. Stay tuned.
So that was about the, last thing that really went right that day. This is when the equipment malfunctions begin. Let me just go ahead and show you what happened. Here I am getting final go-ahead to go on track because I had 19 out of 20 lug nuts. I was still missing a lug nut at this point in my life, but hey, go ahead, get on there. Let's go ahead and get rolling. Now, this was a much bigger concern because the gentleman with the last Super Lab session rolled his car because of improper lug nuts. So they didn't want me to go out there and be that guy. They made a risk assessment. I decided this is one thing I wanted to go through with, and here we are going on track for session 1. So cool stuff right here. Heading in here, getting the warm-up lap going on. Got my helmet cam going, got my new dash cam going, starting to really feel myself like, hey man, I might actually come out here and do a videography or something, man. Beautiful, perfectly cloudy day. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that. And right about now is when I run out of all of my track footage. Yeah, that's pretty much all of the overhead camera footage of the 18 laps that I went ahead and did that day across 3 sessions. So pretty big drag there. I'm pretty let down by that. I actually went and reviewed my helmet camera footage. You can see me actually getting the phone out, turning it on, putting the phone away. I don't know if in the process of putting it away, the button got pushed, but yes, none of my sessions were recorded on the overhead camera. And then it turns out my interior camera didn't have audio working either. I had a setting on there that was causing that to not work, but went ahead, did some laps. I'm going to go ahead and just share the few cool moments that I had of that day because there's not really a whole lot. What's really going to be more important is the battle damage that I had no idea I was incurring that we will look at the end of the episode.
Am I catching him? Am I catching a Miata? No fucking way. That's not supposed to be possible when you're a new guy in a Corvette on all seasons. Like, there's no circumstance. Look at how much downforce that wing has. Come on, baby. Let's catch a Miata today. Del Sol again. We got a little battle going on. Sick. I'm on them. Yeah, baby. We're gonna pass a Miata today. That's supposed to not even be possible. Two for one. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Don't go off track. Come on. Come on. That was sloppy as fuck. Didn't have my normal entry line, that's probably why. And I just gotta make sure I get away from this dude just to make sure that it counts all the way.
The little Miata and Del Sol battle was totally mad rad. I talked to the guy Clint who was driving the Miata afterwards, made sure that I was kind of good making that three-way pass like that. Maybe wasn't the safest thing in hindsight to have done, and maybe I should have followed him for another lap after he picked the Del Sol, but I did what I did in the heat of the moment, and fortunately the Corvette had enough power to get through it, and I didn't completely wipe out afterwards. So definitely good news going on there. We're going to go ahead and check out what happened in the next session, where I have my first on-camera off-track incident.
Ooh, yeah! And we're off. Sweet. Low consequence. Track's clear. Get back on. All right, you know, sometimes you got to go off track.
Fortunately, no real harm, no real foul there. I have to say that I could see after the fact that I was trembling a little bit, and I was like technically a little bit shook after that, and I got the meatball flag, which is where they're indicating that something is wrong with your vehicle. My driver's side left wheel that was missing the lug nut, looks like race control said it looked like it was kind of jank, had me pop back into the pits, go ahead and check that out. And that's when I kind of noticed what was going on with the overall temperature with my wheels. Check this clip out.
So, cooling down at the end of session one. Now, one thing I didn't know about road racing until I came out here last time was that your tires will actually gain a pretty significant amount of tire pressure while you're on the track. So each one of my tires, except for the driver front, gained about 3 pounds. My driver's front gains about 5. And one thing that's kind of cool actually to show real quick, you start to hit this really extreme shoulder wear when you track the car. Like, it's really crazy. It doesn't matter like how aggressive you drive on the street. You come out to the track and you start doing different stuff to the car that you'd never experienced, especially here on the driver front. You can see that it's not only generating more air pressure, but this shoulder is actually taking more damage and wearing off more. There was a gentleman, Dylan, that had a C5 out here the last time I was here. And before I even got on track, I saw this extreme shoulder wear on his car because he has a lot of camber. It's like, wow, is that what's gonna happen to my tires? And one session in, yep, it sure is what's going to happen to your tires. So what's also crazy too is your wheels, like, they get really hot to the touch. I'm only kind of touching them like that just because it's fun and I have a lot of temperature resistance in my hands, but yeah, they could cook it hot. So I'm gonna let this guy cool down a little bit more. I actually need to bring an IR thermometer out here so I know how hot things actually are and how much they're actually cooling. It's for tomorrow's session. I think I'm gonna go pick one up today. Yeah, she's coming along. Sure do enjoy doing hot laps, that's for damn sure. So right around the time I was getting done checking out my wheels, a gentleman named Zach approached me. He also was there at a C5 coupe. Pretty cool dude. We were talking about oil temperatures and how he was backing down around the 270 mark and I was running up into the 290s. You know, I was like, I don't really know any better, and I've just been kind of out here sending it and everything like that. And that attitude caught up before me for too long. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get too much more footage. My roof camera worked for just long enough for us to get a quick view of Zach's beautiful C5 as I was pulling up behind him. And then after that, all I was able to get was my helmet camera, which, as you can see by the lighting here, it's just not very good. But we'll just go ahead, take a look at a little bit of my last lap where I did a 138.8, which was my best lap. It was over a second faster than what I did in my last super lap session. So I was learning, and we'll just go ahead and finish out this session on some of my last thoughts for the day before we get into the really, really fun part when we deal with the consequences of my racism. cool it down. She's hot, oil temps are almost 300. Cool down lap. Open the hood now, start letting this stuff vent out. Dang, I don't even know how many laps I just ran. Like, I'm gonna have to go through the video footage and actually count how many laps I ran, because I don't even know at this point. I think I'm the last person on the course. Man, this thing just gets better and better. We get better and better, me and the car. I like the cool down lap pace too. You can just kind of chill, get a feel for the course, you know? You don't have to be completely balls to the effing walls. Look at this face. Happy MF and face show. Test and tune was great. I like that a lot more than my first super lap session for a couple of reasons. For one, you're eliminating the variable of stress. Training under stress is extremely important, especially when you're talking about firearm training and stuff like that. But it's very good to learn what you're doing in a no-stress environment. Like, my experience at Super Lap the first time was very much just like, hey dude, so here's a gun, go gunfight, right? No training, no nothing. And it'd be like if you had an experienced person, right? Because I at least have an idea of a racing line, how to drive my car, things like that. But the experience on the track is, I don't care how cool you think you are on the street, it is not the same on the track. Because I'm like Mr. think I'm the coolest dude in the world on a mountain road, canyon, stuff like that. It's not the same as the track. Do not fool yourself into thinking that it is too, because I was that guy until I quickly found out that I wasn't. So just a piece of advice there for everybody, including myself. But yeah, that was great. I got my lap time down. I did a 140.3 on my last one, and now I want to say in a 138.5. I'll confirm that when I look that up later. But just absolutely amazing time. There's just nothing like the road course. It really is the spice of life. I am so excited to be back here again tomorrow morning. Hell yeah, brother.
Oh yeah, look at this dumb idiot with his happiness and his enthusiasm, getting on the freeway with his little upshifts, gonna get his little pull on right here. Has absolutely no idea what he's gonna be in store for when he gets done eating dinner and gets ready to head to the gym. Absolute chaos. Enjoy it, dude.
This is the most expensive sounding noise any of my cars have ever made, but whatever that is doesn't look too terribly expensive. It wasn't making that noise when it was hot and when I was at the track, but I just fired it up to go to the gym, and it's definitely making that noise now. But yeah, that serpentine idler pulley is just like looking like it's done for. Fortunately, the only thing that pulley runs is my AC belt. I discovered racist mode. I didn't know if that was a thing there, but you just go ahead and pop that little belt right off of that pulley that was making all the clackety-clack, most expensive sounds in the world. You ain't got no AC no more, but you got racist mode, just freeing up that pulley. Ye freaking ha!
Yeah, I had no idea what I was actually dealing with at that point in my life. It's really hilarious in hindsight. I thought I was just dealing with a simple AC pulley. No. It was so much worse from that. And if you can visually tell what was going on, go ahead, drop a comment. I obviously found out later, but it took way more troubleshooting than it probably should have. And that's going to be taken up probably the next episode as we go ahead and outline this. But some good takeaways from the track there. The biggest thing I say that I worked on that I really improved on was my hand placement. As I was looking at the videos, which, you know, I could see pretty much just the steering wheel, and all I had really working most of the time was my helmet camera. That my hand improvement was actively being focused on and improved throughout the day. Next thing was hard lesson on videography, man. Got to make sure those cameras are running. Not having my roof camera running really sucked. But hey, it is what it is. No point crying about spilt milk. You got to go on and get going to the next thing, just like when you run off track. I'm happy that I at least got some camera footage for my second off-track adventure. I missed my first one, obviously, at the first super lap. But hey, good times were had. Nothing to really cry about at this point. Gonna go ahead, wrap this thing up. Remember, we are getting to 250 subscribers and gonna go ahead and give away this Mark IV Super as driven by Brian O'Connor in the original Fast and Furious movie. Check out the Facebook page, get on there. Go ahead and give this thing away when we get to 250 subscribers. Let's wrap this thing out. Brothers and sisters, horsepower.
Damn, bro, that was racist.